For the very last time in 2016, it's time to find out what you guys asked the Phoenix. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz, Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check. And yes, this is indeed the last Ask the Phoenix of 2016. You guys know the drill. Taking December off like I always do, and then going forward into 2017, this is going to be every other month. So January, skip February, March, skip April, etc., etc., etc. down the line. The hope of that is that while I will be doing less of them, there will be more per episode, per Ask the Phoenix. It'll obviously be a lot longer time for you guys to accumulate questions, etc. But the basic premise is going to stay the same. You see a Q&A, you want to be on the next Q&A, you put your questions down in that comment section. Now, a couple people for this one have found me through other means, through Twitter, through Facebook, etc. You are free to do that, but just keep in mind that if you don't do it in the comment section, there is a chance I might lose your questions, and I really don't want to do that. Thank you to all you guys. I've always said this is my favorite series on this channel. I've said it so much it's become cliche now. If I couldn't do anything else on this channel, I would stick to this and tackle. So you guys are great. It gives you guys a little bit of a voice on here rather than just hearing me ramble. So Colin from Edinburgh, Scotland says, should Cyndi Lauper be in the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame for her work with the Rock and Wrestling Connection in the 1980s? Sorry, I can't speak right now today. Yeah, obviously, like, it wouldn't have been the segment in wrestling time that it would have been without her, so you can't argue against it, really. Should people like the British Bulldog and Curt Hennig be given a WWF championship title reign? I'll say yes for both. I assume British Bulldogs would have been short. I don't know how he would have been received as a long-term champion. No disrespect. But I saw British Bulldog, unless you're over in the UK, whereas obviously he's got a hometown following, very, very, very tippy top of the mid-card guy, scrape at the main event type guy, rather than residing up in that echelon. Curt Hennig, not even a question. Thanks and all the best. So thank you to you from Edinburgh, Scotland. That came to me via the Facebook, which is fine. Melvin Salim Jr. on Twitter says, what do you think of Gallows and Anderson defecting to SmackDown? Obviously to rejoin with AJ Styles and the Bullet Club and all that sort of thing. I don't think this was obviously asked before the Survivor Series. I don't think they will defect, but I will think you will see something like what happened with The Shield, with Ambrose saying, fuck it, I know these guys are on my team, but that's really my team over there. They did the triple powerbomb on AJ Styles. The fact that The Shield came together at the expense of AJ Styles makes me believe that Gallows and Anderson will be linking back up with AJ at some point, whether it's at the Royal Rumble, whether they have a cross-promotional 3-on-3 match at WrestleMania. Something is going to happen there. They've laid the groundwork. I don't think, unfortunately, that AJ Styles is going to be the WWE Champion by the time we get to WrestleMania, so that'll free him up to be in a much more multi-person match. What if Shane McMahon interferes in the Goldberg versus Lesnar match? This was obviously, again, hypothetical before Survivor Series actually happened. I don't think Shane McMahon had time to interfere in Goldberg versus Lesnar. That was a bit of a quick match. I think the attack on Shane McMahon is something that they're just going to let go. I think WWE thinks they have something much bigger with the Goldberg Lesnar story going forward, rather than following up something like Lesnar versus Shane McMahon. Although going into WrestleMania, you never know what they could do, because Shane McMahon's back with the company now, and he typically finds himself a spot at WrestleMania. Rumors are that they're going to bring in Samoa Joe. They're going to bring up, I should say, Samoa Joe. And by up, I hope that means to SmackDown. They could have another cross-promotional match. That way Shane McMahon brings in Samoa Joe to represent SmackDown against Raw's Brock Lesnar. But as far as Shane McMahon himself getting involved physically with Brock Lesnar, I don't see that happening very much at all. One of the usual suspects, the Zohan, says, what would you do with the following female wrestlers, and where would they fit in today's landscape? What brand should they wrestle for? Mickie James. Mickie James made her re-debut in NXT a couple of weekends ago at TakeOver. Good match. I was there. It was fun. Put Mickie James against Bayley. So, obviously on Raw. Gail Kim, I'd send her to NXT to face Asuka. AJ Lee, I could put on either brand, because I'd like to see her face either Sasha Banks or Alexa Bliss. We know AJ can do face or heel, which is fine. Victoria, I'd put on SmackDown to fight Natalya. Same thing with Ivory. Jacqueline, I'd throw on Raw to fight either Nia Jax or Alicia Fox. Caitlyn, I would send to SmackDown to face Nikki Bella. I think, he said, would they fit in today's landscape? I don't think it's a question of whether they could fit in. I think it's a matter of when they got there, what would WWE do with them? It's that cliche, you know, it's not their fault, it's the writers, but in this case, it's completely true. Will Raw continue to be WWE's flagship show in the future? I don't think Raw is WWE's flagship now. Depending on what type of fan you are, if you're a casual fan, you probably look at SmackDown as the flagship show. If you're a more hardcore fan and you like more of the actual wrestling, more of the fan interaction, you're going to go for NXT. Raw is the flagship show in name only. The downside of that for WWE is because people like NXT and SmackDown more, they keep trying with Raw, and the more they try, the more they underline their own failures. You know, it's like the guy picking up the girl at the bar. You know, if he tries once and fails and goes away, then cool. If he tries once and keeps trying and keeps trying and keeps trying, WWE is being that weird guy at the bar trying to get all of the fans to like Raw again, and it's just not working. The term flagship show is just, it's just a tag at this point. SmackDown's better, NXT's better. The 2017 Royal Rumble pay-per-view will be held in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio Stadium, which holds 60,000 people. Which superstars need to be on the card to draw and sell out the arena? On the part-timers, obviously you got to go Taker, Austin, Michaels, Lesnar. For the full-timers, they just have to... WWE's goal should be to make the guys they have now into superstars so that they don't have to, how can I say this? So that they don't have to go and say, who do we have to get to draw? They should be able to sit back on the roster that they have and look, we have guys we can draw. Guys can do that. Guys like Rollins can do that. Guys like Owens can do that. AJ Styles can do that. I don't know. You got to get the stereotypical Texans, which is Austin, Michaels, Taker, etc. But it's kind of sad that they have to do that. The best WWE TLC pay-per-view, I would say the one they call the Indie TLC, which was a couple years ago, where Daniel Bryan, CM Punk, and Zack Ryder, although Zack Ryder wasn't really an element, all came out as champions, because even, I don't remember who the tag team champions were, but even the tag team champions everybody was happy with at that point. That being said, if they do what I think they're going to do next weekend and turn the women's match between Becky Lynch and not Alicia Fox, Alexa Bliss, into a women's TLC match to counter Raw's women's Hell in a Cell match, the card they've thrown together for this year already looks pretty damn good and could be in the running. Who would make a bigger impact in today's WWE landscape, Matt Hardy or Jeff Hardy? Oh, that's not fair. That's not fair at all. You guys know how I feel about Jeff Hardy. I'm going to try and overlook my bias as much as I possibly can. If you bring them back the way they were when they were here before, Jeff Hardy, no doubt. Matt was the Jannetty of that team. What he has done creatively now with the broken Matt Hardy gimmick and the Brother Nero stuff, you'd have to flip it the other way, because Brother Nero, the last time I even glanced at anything TNA related, Brother Nero was very much the sidekick to Matt. Plus he's got his wife and the whole him involving his kid is a little weird. It would depend how they did it. If they brought them back to be, you know, circa 2005 WWE Hardy Boys, then Jeff, because they couldn't get Matt Hardy over to save their damn lives. Matt Hardy went to TNA where they give him some creative freedom, and he got himself over with this great gimmick where he kind of looks like Sweeney Todd. And I don't even, I was gonna say Sweeney Todd and something, but Sweeney Todd and I don't know, Doc from Back to the Future. But it works with TNA because TNA is basically throwing garbage at the wall right now. WWE in turn did the stuff with the New Day and the Wyatts and all that weirdness. So I don't know. I really don't know. I'd pop for Jeff Hardy. You guys know that. Matt Hardy, now that he's made himself into something other than the V1 gimmick, which was terrible, would be interesting as well. I'd love to see them come in as the unit that we know them as from TNA, and then immediately have Jeff Hardy say fuck off and turn on Matt and be the Jeff Hardy that we know with this new intensity, and have them debut, lose their debut match, and feud immediately. It would be very jarring booking, but I think it would work. Who do you think has the best chance of winning Superstar of the Year out of the following wrestlers? AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, John Cena, Chris Jericho, Kevin Owens. Well, WWE is going to tell you Roman Reigns or John Cena, aren't they? I gotta go with AJ Styles. I really do. I like the other guys. Dean Ambrose has lost a lot of steam. Seth Rollins has sort of lost a lot of steam. Chris Jericho, while he's on a big part right now, he's still a part-timer. Kevin Owens should have been the breakout star when he was the inaugural Universal Champion, but he did it with help. He did it with a lot of help. And AJ Styles, while he may have used underhanding, scheming means, he did win the WWE title by himself, for the most part, and he has retained it by himself for the most part because they took away all his backup and threw them on another show, which makes him look stronger in the long run. And plus, AJ Styles has put up with a lot of shit, all the James Ellsworth and all that garbage. Where does Brock Lesnar versus Bill Goldberg from this year's Survivor Series rank in Brock's best matches since beating The Undertaker's undefeated streak? It doesn't. It was a 1 minute, 26-second loss to 50-year-old, gassed up, friggin' old Berg. It doesn't rank at all. Do you like when WWE breaks kayfabe during the show, acknowledging characters and using insider terms, looking at the camera during backstage segments, etc.? It's all in the delivery. It's all in the person that does it. When they do it just to do it, it comes off as really hokey. It's like that guy that tells the joke and then pokes at you for 5 minutes. Hey, you see what I did there? Do you get that? Do you get that? But when you had a guy like CM Punk, who gradually over time just became known as a guy who didn't respect the fourth wall, it works. It's like anything else as far as promos go. Like, I've always said that I respect Triple H because he can go out there at the beginning of the night in DX attire, joking around, throwing the crotch chops, throwing glow sticks to the kids in the crowd, and have fun, and still at the end of the night come back cerebral assassin, make you totally believe he's going to rip your head off in one night. There's not a lot of people that can do that. So a lot of it's like characters that can play babyface and heel equally. It's a very unique skill. Being able to break the fourth wall successfully and effectively is a very individualized thing. So I'm sorry I really can't give you an answer on that. When it's done well, I like it. Do I think that it's something that should never be done? No, I don't think you should put, there's very few things that you should put in the it should never be done category. It should be done like anything else by people that can do it right. So I guess I do like it, but it's like a super kick. Shawn Michaels pulls off a super kick, it's great. Some rando on the indie scene pulls off a super kick to be like, look at me, I'm just like Shawn Michaels, and botches it, then it's another story altogether. Who do you want to see Conor McGregor fight in a WWE ring? I don't watch UFC. I know that Conor McGregor's a dick, and I know that he's working the wrestling fans super hard, so it's a setup for something. I really don't know. To keep some consistency in there, have McGregor fight Lesnar? I really don't know. I don't know enough about UFC to know who he would have a good match with, if that makes sense. I'm going to my first NXT show on the 11th of December in Gold Coast, Australia. Have fun. Do you have any advice for the show? The main event is Samoa Joe and the Revival taking on Shinsuke Nakamura and Team DIY. My advice to you, go, have fun, enjoy the atmosphere that NXT creates, because NXT it's a little more of a niche crowd, so fans, and I will say this because I was at the TakeOver and the Survivor Series, and this is the main difference. There's not as many kids at NXT, which is kind of cool, and the crowd is a lot more free to have a lot more fun. They really are. You don't have the dilution of the crowd that you do at a regular WWE show. And I'll put it to you like this. At a WWE show, you've got kids who are just there watching the show, and if there's kids, there's parents. So in between all of that, you've got some, grown-ass people that are there as adult fans watching the show. The reactions are diluted. The fan interaction is incredibly diluted. The fun that the crowd is having is incredibly diluted. Whereas you've got a bunch of, more niche, more hardcore, more adult fans at the NXT show. It's a lot easier to get swept up in the fun of it. Stuff like the Glorious entrance, stuff like Shinsuke Nakamura's entrance, Dillinger in the 10-10-10 thing. Throw away your inhibitions, go have a great time. Go enjoy the type of fan that NXT brings out. That's the best I can think. And don't be afraid to say something silly and stupid, because you never know what'll catch on. Thank you for that, Zohan. Usual suspect. Usually always on here, man, so I appreciate you constantly being a part of this series. Speaking of people that are constantly represented on this series, you got Wrestling with Reality. What's your favorite thing to eat on Thanksgiving? Well, first of all, I got to point out that our Thanksgiving was a month and a half ago, but I will say salted white meat turkey, and if they're done well, whipped mashed potatoes. Oh yes. What wrestler on Raw would you like to see on SmackDown? I would say gotta go with Cesaro, Sami Zayn, Neville maybe. I would have loved to see the Cruiserweight division go to SmackDown, but that didn't happen, did it? After going to a WrestleMania and a Survivor Series, what other pay-per-views would you like to go watch? I was at WrestleMania 18, as most of you guys know that have been following the channel. This year was my second Survivor Series. Had the chance back in 2013 to go check out the Survivor Series in Boston. That was a lot of fun as well. I missed when SummerSlam came to Toronto, so I should want to make that up and see that, but obviously the one you want to knock off is a Royal Rumble. If I was anywhere near Texas, I'd be going to the Alamo Dome. You know, I'm not going to travel to Texas I shouldn't say I wouldn't travel, because I went to Boston. I'm not going to travel to Texas next year to see the Royal Rumble, but if Royal Rumble is anywhere near me, like the New York, New Jersey type area, I might consider going to the Royal Rumble, because it's really something I want to knock off of my bucket list. I would love to see an Elimination Chamber as well, because I want to know if it's as awkward to watch in person as it looks on camera, because there's a lot more structure to the Elimination Chamber than there is to Hell in a Cell, so I can't imagine as an audience member that that's an easy match to watch in-house, if that makes sense. If you were to change a member of each team in the major 5-on-5 Survivor Series and the past Survivor Series, who would you have picked? I would have subbed out... this is hard. I would have subbed out Shane McMahon for Dolph Ziggler. I would have subbed out Braun Strowman for Cesaro. And I wouldn't have had the whole Ellsworth shtick there. Who do you think got fucked worse? Dolph Ziggler out of his match with Sami Zayn, or the fans in attendance for having to see that match? Dolph Ziggler will come back. Dolph Ziggler will have another match. Dolph Ziggler will face Sami Zayn at some point, I'm sure of it. Did the fans get fucked? I don't know, because Sami Zayn is the underdog you want to cheer. You want to have him going up against a heel in The Miz. The Miz is one of the greatest heels WWE has right now, like it or not. I do sort of appreciate WWE's logic of a face-on-face being you don't really know who you want to cheer. Ziggler, as a babyface, would have been booed in Canada because he was facing Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn, being Canadian, getting the obvious hometown pop, versus The Miz, who is obnoxious as hell, and you guys know how I feel about The Miz. I think we got a match scenario out of it. We got a better story out of it. Now, would the in-ring match have been better if it was Ziggler? Absolutely. Did we get fucked that way? A little bit, but it's like, one thing I don't like about WWE is when they've got two faces going against each other, they both kind of turn heel, which is really bizarre. I mean, you're trying to build up, you know, I'm on this team, you're on this team, so we're going to make fun of each other, and I get that. But you had Sami Zayn making fun of Dolph Ziggler's look, calling him a Skid Row reject. You had, you know, Dolph Ziggler calling him a cab driver, a golf caddy, things of that nature. So you get this really awkward dynamic where two guys that are babyfaces, two guys that the crowd loves, both turn a little bit heel, and it just doesn't fit. So I think it was a better storytelling choice. The match later on down the line, if Ziggler turns heel again, Sami Zayn, Dolph Ziggler, no problem. Job Team Barry, the Sole Survivors Edition, Randy Orton, The Rock, and Dolph Ziggler. I would team with The Rock, I would job to Dolph Ziggler, and I would bury Randy Orton, I guess, because he's had enough in his life. Lesnar versus Goldberg 2. What the fuck? And yes, that is my whole question. I will say right now, Goldberg and Lesnar was bullshit. It was. But I have to say as well, this might make me a terrible person. I didn't even get a chance to be angry about it. I was there. You guys, most of you guys know I go to most wrestling shows with my sister-in-law and her boyfriend. and her boyfriend's a pretty nice, quiet kid and all that sort of thing. But he's looking at me. He's like, dude, why aren't you pissed? This is bullshit. You should be like pulling your hair out. Da 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 da. And I'm like, that's exactly why I can't be mad, because I know if I look in the crowd, if I flip over to Twitter, if I go to, you know, Facebook, YouTube, whatever, I'm going to be more entertained by the crowd reaction to that bullshit than I was by any match that they could have put on. I go back to the days where I was getting a lot of bullshit from Deluxe Man, and then Daniel Bryan lost to Sheamus in 18 seconds. Did I agree with that decision by WWE? Absolutely not. But I got to laugh my ass off at Deluxe Man, who had himself a little meltdown down there in Texas. Is it bullshit? Yes. Is it incredibly disrespectful? Yes. If you flip over to JD from New York and his immediate reactions, a lot of his reactions had to do with, you know, Brock Lesnar was carrying the torch from The Undertaker and they just flushed that down the toilet. Is that all true? Absolutely. But at the same time, I can stand back and look at it and say, this is so much bullshit that I have to laugh. And that's all you can really do. You can't, like, you can be enraged as much as you want right now. And I say this to all the fans that are out there. You can be enraged as much as you want right now. That's not going to change the fact that Brock Lesnar, who should be still the wrecking ball of WWE, got taken out by a part-timer, old-timer that hasn't wrestled in 12 years and got gassed on his way to the ring. Look at Goldberg. Look at his string of promos before this match. He came out the first night to announce his return. He tried to do his little punch-punch-kick combination on the ramp. He lost a match to his own pants. He was confronted by Rusev and fell on his own ass. He speared Heyman and threw around some 100-pound extras and tweaked his shoulder. Now that person, shall we say, just beat Lesnar in decisive fashion. Shoved him on the ass, spear, jackhammer. Is it absolute bullshit? Yes. But it's so much bullshit that I have to laugh. That's my only reaction. Comprise a fantasy 5-on-5 Marvel versus DC Survivor Series match. Well, alright then. Iron Man, Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, and Loki versus Batman, Aquaman, Flash, Lex Luthor, and Abomination. Considering that there have been 20 people in a single match like this past weekend, do you think a 5-on-5-on-5 Survivor Series match should happen? Yes. The way they did brand warfare here, you had the 5-on-5 men's match for brand supremacy. Now, throw in a team from NXT. You got Samoa Joe, Bobby Roode, Austin Aries, Eric Young, Ty Dillinger. Versus those other two teams we saw. It would be long. There would be a lot of eliminations, but I think it would be good. A triple threat Survivor Series match, or even a fatal four-way Survivor Series match, is something I've always thought could be a good idea, and it's something they've never really tapped into until now. How many traditional elimination matches on average do you think there should be on a Survivor Series card? I wouldn't mind if the whole card was Survivor Series matches. Have a whole card of Survivor Series matches, and then maybe a title match at the end. I wouldn't have a problem with that, whatever, because they do it once a year. That being said, I know a lot of people don't agree with that, so I think the way they did it this year made the most sense. Have a Survivor Series match, have a singles match. Have a Survivor Series match, have a singles match. Have a Survivor Series match, have your marquee match. What I will say is the matches that you use to break up, if you're going to put matches in between the Survivor Series matches, don't make them tag team matches, because they're too much the same thing. And I think the way they did this year when they had the tag team teams, that should have been the most competitive match of the night, because the 5-on-5 singles matches are 5 single guys who are used to fighting singles matches. Now, the tag teams are all used to a tag team mentality. They're all used to a tag team dynamic, getting the hot tag, keeping the opponent in your corner of the ring, and all the things that go with tag team wrestling. That match should have been the most competitive, logically, but obviously it wasn't the main event, so it wasn't. Thank you for answering your questions, and enjoy your vacation. Thank you very much. James Edward Russell, my boy, Fear the Spear 1990, go check him out. Your thoughts on Goldberg's devastation continuing and hoping that WWE doesn't fuck this up? Well, WWE already kind of fucked it up if you ask most people. They better have something spectacular in mind for Goldberg going forward to utilize this momentum. Because if they just gave it to him and then he fucks off, which obviously is not going to happen because he's in the Royal Rumble, but if he's just in the Royal Rumble to spurn on a match with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania and we're going to get number 3, I think they already have fucked it up, if I'm completely honest with you. Your predictions for the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, and who you think Reigns, Lesnar, Taker, Cena, Goldberg, and all the main events should be. Hashtag give Miz a push. That's one of my answers right there. Honestly, with the way that all the other main eventers are already kind of finding their slots for WrestleMania in other ways, I would be 100% behind giving Miz the win at the Royal Rumble. 100%. But have Maurice stay in the back. Have Miz win the Rumble legitimately. I'm not saying turn him face, but instead of making him the chicken shit heel that has to cheat, have him be the heel that's an asshole that's going to brag about his victories, but still gets them legitimately. Give him a little dash of cerebral assassin Triple H in his character. Mania, who would I book? Reigns, I would really love to see in that Shield versus Club match. Lesnar is probably going to take on Goldberg again, as much as I don't like it. I really hope the Samoa Joe rumors are true, but I'm not really holding on to that. Taker and Cena are apparently slated to face each other, which is kind of cool. Goldberg, I've already answered. Is Batista versus Lesnar still possible? It is. I don't know how interested Batista is in this at this point, because he's been kind of outspoken about WWE being kind of shit over the past little while. And his last little run, when they sort of revamped Evolution, when he came out as Blue Tista, went over like a lead balloon. I don't know how much WWE is interested in having him back, and I don't know if he's interested in coming back. Lesnar versus Batista is one of those matches that we never really saw. Would I be interested in seeing it? Yes. Do I think it would be a big 5-star classic? No. If you build it like you built the Lesnar Goldberg thing with these two wrecking balls coming together, it could be good. It could be a good mid-card spectacle type match for WrestleMania. Don't make it the main event for damn sure. Is CM Punk going to return? Who knows at this point? That no offense, James, but that question's kind of a joke at this point. Should he face Cena at WrestleMania at some point if possible? Absolutely. I always said that the John Cena versus CM Punk rivalry was the best rivalry because the company was 100% behind Cena and we were 100% behind Punk. It was literally the fans versus the WWE, so that rivalry always resonated, and the fact that that rivalry never took place on a WrestleMania stage is a big, huge missed opportunity for the WWE, in my opinion. I think a lot of other things could happen with Goldberg, and if he stays just after Mania. Yeah, but there's only so many people he's going to go against. I mean, I'm sure they're going to do Goldberg versus Roman Reigns at some point, like the Battle of the Spears. WWE loves that corny shit. Will Goldberg be in the Hall of Fame 2017? If he goes into the Hall of Fame, I'm going to guess that WrestleMania is his last match. Because other than Ric Flair, they put you in the Hall of Fame when you're done. So that's that. And speaking of that's that for this Q&A. Thank you, all you guys that have made Ask the Phoenix really, really fun, really stretching out to a lot of different topics and a lot of different subject matter. Other than wrestling this year, you guys have come at me with the comic book stuff. A lot of you know I love The Walking Dead, which is doing really, really crazy shit right now with Negan. Music, holidays. We've got some political jokes in there somewhere. It's a lot of fun. Please don't take the fact that I'm cutting the amount of shows in half next year as me being any less interested in this series. This is a lot of fun. I want to make each one bigger, build the anticipation for each show. Also add more to each show. I want to see how that goes. If it doesn't pan out the way I think it's going to next year, the following year we will go back to the format that we've had this year. Regardless, I'll still be taking December off, as you guys know. Going into this week, last SmackDown review, last NXT review, and then I am done for the year, taking my December off. A lot of you have already wished me a happy December off. That's really great. Really appreciate it. Coming back in January, I still don't think I'm going to be doing Raw reviews, guys, because Raw is really sucking the big dong right now. But this is I can't say it enough. Put your questions down in the box below for January. We're going to be up to Royal Rumble time. We're going to be up to WrestleMania time, and it's sort of that ramp up. Everybody's a wrestling fan, even if they're not, as we go towards WrestleMania. So can't wait to answer. I can speak, I swear. Answer all those questions in January. So for the last time this year for Ask the Phoenix, I've been Spaz, your YWC reality check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I'm tagging out. Bye, guys.